All right. Minute late, but not a dollar short. Um, that was on me. Completely lost track of time. All right, man. So we're back. Welcome back. I did my little homework assignment as we left it off. I guess just to recap some of the stuff, if you were following along with us, uh, Doc gave us a little bit of homework. So the first things were you wanted to create a list of 10 ways, whether it's like to be a career or like to make money, and then to find within those 10 ways, choose 6 or 7 or 8 of them and try to find 10 more ways within those. So that way now you have, 60, 70, 80, ultimately if you do all 10 and 10, 100 different ways, to either make a career, supplement, find a hobby that makes you money, any sort of thing that can be productive, lucrative, financially stabilizing, choose your word. So we did that. Then you had us narrow down, or actually not really narrow down, but expand upon 5 different things. The first one being your ideal life or work situation, and you wanted us to get as specific as possible. Talk about the paint on the walls, the smells, the sounds, whatever, the people you're with, blah blah blah. After that, we had how are you making money, and then kind of like a subcategory was what materialistic luxuries do you want to have, are your goals shooting for. The next category was, your family, friends, relationships, that kind of thing. How is that planning out in your future? The next one was health. So how do you look? How do you feel? How do you, behave? How do you react to stuff? All of that. And then the last but not least was, which I actually had a lot of fun with, planning your ideal calendar year. So starting in January, finish in December. I was just telling you this. This is actually why we're a minute late because I completely forgot. I got sidetracked in this, but I had a lot of fun with that one. I thought it was pretty cool. I've never planned out a year of my life before. I've planned for things in the future, but generally it's not much farther than my next meal. So, I mean, do you have anything you want to mention heading in, or should we just dive right in?
No, I say we just go in. Just hit your first one, and we'll just go through them all. Let everybody kind of hear yours. Then we're actually going to get to the good stuff about like writing goals today. So.
All right, yeah, I know, right? This is what 3, 4 episodes in the making.
19 episodes in, we're going to write a goal.
It's only been a month. For those of you who have stuck with us till this episode, good for you. Congratulations, and we appreciate it. And it'll help you out in the end.
Yeah, you're winners.
All right. So my 10 passions. That's how I kind of labeled it. So what I came up with, believe it or not, I only came up with 6. That's always kind of been my thing. I'm not like super. I don't like to spread myself too thin. I have a pretty decent interest in a general group of things, but I like to dive into those specific things.
Yep.
If that's right or wrong, I can try to come up with some later, but we'll start with the 6. My 6 were health, creativity, sports, teaching, outdoors, and education. So those are my 6 that I came up with. Now my subcategories, I'll just go one at a time. So I'll start with health, personal trainer, own a gym, at-home training, YouTube channel dedicated to health and fitness. Seminars. Hold on, trying to read my handwriting.
Stellar idea.
Yeah, right. Consult with gyms, training. Consult with clients. Kind of like an advice page, blog, channel. Like I said, ties again back into the YouTube channel. This one, grow food. So again, probably not something I'm going to make a career out of, but I like to garden. I like to grow stuff. I would always like to grow my own produce and sell it on like a street roadside stand or something. Again, little supplemental, whatever. Number 2 was creativity. Create and sell art. Perform at a bar, restaurant, whatever. Web design, graphic design. Sorry, hold on.
You're writing like 3 times.
I have like landscaping and garden design kind of created together. I think that's a nice creative outlet. Architecture, engineering, writing music, and then writing books is something I've always kind of been a goal of mine. I've always thought about, never really pursued. Number 3, sports. Coach, football, baseball being my top 2. Work for a team, either collegiately, professionally, whatever. Break down performances, whether it be swings or lifts or whatever. Train athletes, motivational speaker. I feel like that kind of ties into the sports atmosphere. 2 big goals, at the end: GM or owner. Got to shoot big, right? Teaching, be a teacher. Check. Train, coach, YouTube. I like to, again, the reason I started this YouTube channel, the reason I started, the doctors in, the reason why I'm doing Coach's Corner is to just, give information, teach, get it out there. People need to know these things, how to take care of themselves, that kind of stuff. Again, consult with education, become a principal, vice principal, athletic director, superintendent, that kind of stuff. Number 5. Number 5 was outdoors. I have coach sports, train outdoors, landscape, going back to that one. I think you said there's probably going to be some overlap with some of the stuff. Work in construction, do kayak tours, hiking tours, that kind of stuff. And then last but not least, we had education. Oh, teaching. I have education. So teaching, education, again, a lot of overlap. But education, again, teach, train, educate people via YouTube, principal. So again, that one was kind of a repetitive one. Vice principal, athletic director, superintendent. Open my own school.
Yep.
Fuck it, why not?
Right. I've talked about that. But so those are awesome. And the real thing there for me is like everybody, just to get your mind thinking. So
Sure.
We had kind of told people, hey, pick one and then come up with 10 ways that you can make money underneath like that one thing that's a passion of yours. And so in yours, you could actually go deeper. Some people may be able to, some people might not be able to go deeper. But like, let's just use, for example, landscaping, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, under the subset of landscaping, well, what are 10 ways under landscaping that you could make money? What are 20 ways under landscaping that you can make money, right? So the point of this whole thing is if you're looking for something to do, something to change, a new way to move through life, whatever it is, you're not stagnant, right? Like, you just gave me 60 ways you can make money, and of those 60 things you said, maybe 20 of them overlaps. You have 40 ways to make money. Of those 40, I would argue 30 to 35 of them could have another 10 ways to make money underneath them.
Yeah,
probably. Right?
Like,
like another 10 subsets of like, how can I break this down even more? Like, what are more ways to then do that, right? Like, so whole point of that is to kind of get that mind thinking, find out what you really like, what you really want, get the idea of the goals flowing, right? Like, and there's some bigger ones in there, like you said, GM, owner, like all those things. And we'll get to like those types of goals kind of later in this talk. So we'll circle back around there. I think ideal family life maybe is next. You want to kind of go through what you
before we move on, I just want to, because I think as I was doing this, I think I kind of caught on to your train of thought of what this exercise's purpose was supposed to be. And I think you touched on it, saying like, we always tell people, go to school, major in something, get a job. It's a very direct, linear kind of path leading you to one thing. And as a 17, 18-year-old coming out of high school, going to college, it's a near impossible task. I think, so correct me if I'm wrong, but the purpose of this exercise is to be like, all right, here's your interest. Here's a bunch of things that you're interested in. Here's a bunch of ways that you can, create a life, make money, do whatever with these interests. So it's essentially laying out a bunch of options for you. So it's instead of it being like, here's one path to get to here, it's look at all these goddamn, possibilities that you can do. Now you can pursue multiple of these, one of these, however you choose, that kind of thing. But I think it's a little daunting for people to have that kind of high school, graduate, college, get a job, work for the rest of your life kind of thing. a very linear, almost path to the grave, if you will.
Right.
And this is, again, expanding upon, well, these are all things that I love to do, and here are all these ways that I can make it like my life.
Right.
Okay.
No, it's exactly what it is. And the best part, like I wish teachers would teach this in school, but then it goes against the grain of like what they were taught, and then whatever. But one of the things that's important is probably, again, 80% of what you listed on there, you don't need a degree for. You can come up with ways to do without a degree, right?
Absolutely.
And not that degrees are bad, right? I needed a degree to do what I do. That's perfectly fine. But we want everything to be, like you said, linear. A does B, B to C, C to D. But we live in a non-linear universe.
Yeah. Rarely, if ever, does anything in life happen that way.
Right. So then let's cater to that and let's teach in a non-linear way. And my God, you give some kids this example. And I don't know if we've talked about this before, but this is a good time to just bring it up because it is what it is. But so I went and spoke at, I think there were sixth graders, like a career conference day, right, when I was in school. So they asked me when I was in school to go speak at this thing, so I went and spoke. And I stayed in one room, and I had 15 minutes to explain what I do, and then the group of sixth graders moved to like 6 different rooms, and they had all these other people in all the rooms, right? So the first room, I get in, and I explain what I do, right? And they all get on their iPads, and I'm like, does anyone have any questions? So I'm supposed to have time for questions. So I really have like 5 or 6 minutes, you know? So I explained whatever, and the kid's like, well, how much money can I make as a chiropractor? And I'm like, what? Like, that's 6th grade. I'm like,
you're 12.
Right. What is happening here? And then like the next question that someone asked, I'm like, because then I like dodged that, right? And the next question was like, well, how long do I have to go to school for? I'm like, what? Like, do you guys hear what I said? Like, what I do? Like, is there a disconnect here?
Anything relevant to the profession, please.
Yeah. So I'm like, the next group of kids that came by, I'm like, my show now, like, we're not doing any iPads. So I told everybody, I'm going to close the iPads, put them under your desk. And everybody's like, what? Like, yeah, we're getting rid of the fucking tablets, right? So, like, I put them under there. So then I'm like, all right, who's brave enough to come to the front of the room because I'm going to do an experiment. And I grabbed off the teacher's desk, you know, the big, thick black paper clips? You know, they're like,
yeah.
So I grabbed one of those off the teacher's desk, and I was like, who's brave enough to hold their finger up, right? And so this girl comes up the front of the room, and I put the clip on it. And I'm like, all right, leave that there. And so she's holding her finger up, and I go, your brain talks to your spine, and your spine talks to your body, right? And when these bones that protect your spine and your back move out of place and torque your spinal cord, they choke it. And it makes your finger look like hers, which is purple. What I do is I take the clip off the nerves and restore normal communication. That's all I said, okay? Girl's like, whoa, that's awesome, right? This is the question I get when I ask about questions, right? Raises his hand, and he says, so then this should help my grandmother with cancer because if her cells communicate correctly, she can fight her cancer better. That's what happens when you take fucking iPads away from kids and don't teach them linear.
That's a pretty enlightened question.
Right. But then they all started to be like that. Like, can this help me with working, like, sports? And, like, I was like, there we go. Like, quit teaching people. Like, I understand you have to have a system and a plan, which will teach with the goals, too. But it's non-linear. Anyways, so that I don't know how that's relevant, but it was an important story.
No, but I think it was branching off that we have such a belief that everything needs to be linear. It's one step followed by another, followed by another, followed by another. And that's not how anything in life works, whether it's, going through school, finding a career, working in that career for the rest of your job. I know one person in my entire life who has worked at the same job since he graduated college till the day he retired, and that's my father. And right. It's the only person that I personally know that has ever done that. Yep. And I think especially now, it's a rarity. Right. But it's the same. It's the same with training. Nothing is just you're going to lift weights and get stronger and be healthy and fine. Like, no, there's going to be setbacks. Some days you didn't sleep well, you didn't eat well, you're tired, you're upset, like you have emotions. Yep. You're going to have bad workouts, bad training sessions. Like, nothing's ever just a nice, easy, linear path. There's ups, there's
That's
downs,
right.
there's ins, there's outs, there's whatever.
Right.
So that's how we got onto that topic, is because once you remove them from that linear inside the box kind of thinking, they were able to make these connections, and they came to it all on their own. Like they brought that cancer question to you. They brought the athletics, the health, the whatever to you, because you changed up how you presented the information. And I think that's what we're doing here, right? It's us, instead of thinking, all right, X plus Y equals Z, it's all right, here are a bunch of things I like to do. Here are a bunch of ways I can make money doing it. Here are a bunch of options. Now let me kind of go through these and see how many. It feels a little more liberating to see how many options we actually have.
Oh, it is. I mean, it's freeing, because you think you're stuck in this realm. I mean, now we're just talking about people being able to find jobs and joys in life, but you're taught you're stuck in this realm. I mean, if you look at the news or Netflix or whatever the hell it is, I mean, it's just constant negative news all the time. I mean, that's CNN, right? Or Fox is the same shit, just the opposite viewpoint, which is still negative. I mean, so that's all you get, right? Fear, anxiety, worry, impending doom.
Yeah, everyone's terrible. You're all going to die. Panic and run for the hills.
Right. So let's talk about your ideal work life then.
Oh, good. Give me that extra beer, that other slice of pizza. Let's go. All right. Moving on. We good?
Let's move on.
I love it. So my ideal work-life situation. This one I have like a skeleton. I will probably have to branch out and go a little deeper and get more specific in that. First thing I wrote down, it was kind of general. It was just, my time is my own. That's a very important thing to me. I don't want to be on someone else's clock. I don't want to be, working a 9 to 5 my entire life. I don't want to be on someone's clock. My time is important to me. I'm a big believer, and not to get philosophical, spiritual, whatever. I'm not a big religious person. I think, we have one life, we live it, we die. To me, that might be scary to some people. To me, that makes our lives incredibly special.
Yep.
That means, the time we have here is very limited. It's very, it's very limited. We're here once. So to me, I don't want to waste it. That's why my time is very important to me, to do with what I want to, how I want to, what I choose, that kind of stuff. So that is my number one ideal life situation. Wake up early to work out in my gym. Again, my envision of this gym, it's a garage gym. It's a separate thing out in my backyard, away from my home. It's got 4 garage doors that I can open up, so it's in the outdoors. There's space, there's fresh air. I hear the birds chirping in the morning. I see the sun coming up. I've got maybe some speakers in there for some music. But again, in this backyard, I want to 5+ acres, a big open space surrounded by trees and woods. I don't see neighbors anywhere. I basically want my own isolation. What we got here? Anyway, so making money from this YouTube channel, or doing yoga, the podcasting, the Doctor's In, Coach's Corner. I want to start doing podcasting with, reaching out to athletes, talking about their training experiences, injuries, rehab, all that kind of stuff. Talking to, different, athletic competitors from all around the world. In this, situation, I've finally married my fiance, married to Kristen. And she's in a position where she can work if she wants to. I know she loves what she does. Maybe she does want to work, continue to work. Maybe she doesn't. I want her to have the option. Again, it's her time, it's her life, it's hers. I want her to do with what she wants.
Yep.
2 to 3 kids. Again, another reason why my time's important. My time's important. I want to have time for them. I want to be available for them. I want to be involved in their school and their athletics and extracurriculars. I have chickens. Love eggs. I hate paying for eggs. So I want a little a chicken coop. Maybe a couple other animals. Definitely going to have cats. We have 2 right now. I would like a dog on 5 acres. I think it's kind of pointless if you don't have a dog. Always kind of wanted a pig. Might have a pig. I don't know.
I'll come over when we eat the pig.
How dare you? Natalie Portman? Let's see. I talked about Big Bang garage door open. Yep. Okay, so going back to my gym, I put a lot of thought into this one, obviously.
Good.
Got a outdoor turf right next to the gym. It's got a sled, like heavy sandbags to carry. I would love to very much get into it. I think carrying, pushing, pulling, that kind of stuff, moving under stress, I think is very, very important. I think it's something that's incredibly functional, something you can do for the rest of your life. Not just, squat, bench, deadlift, really, really heavy weights. I would like to continue doing that for the rest of my life. But I also thinking,
Right.
the movement part, I think, is a very important thing that I think a lot of people get away from. Would like to have a pool. Yeah, so that's kind of where I settled. If you need me to expand on anything, I can, try. But again, I'm probably somewhere in, either in New Jersey or, upstate New York. You probably have to drive a quarter mile down my driveway to see my house. Surrounded by woods, opens up into my yard, big open space. Again, the pool, the garage. Gardens. Definitely want gardens. Flower garden and vegetable garden. What else do I have? I'm trying to see if I missed anything. Animals, chickens. Yeah, so, that's kind of where I'm at.
So some of the things that I think are cool to do is, especially because you're creative and you like to draw, and you were saying all that stuff before. So one of the things I think would be cool for you to do is literally draw your gym, draw the blueprint of your gym.
Okay.
Because we'll see later, again, I told us to physically handwrite these things down. We physically write our goals every single day, right? It's that psychomotor neuro reflex. But if you can get in such a state where you're like, well, I'm going to position it here, and it's like, well, I don't like that, so I'm going to redraw this thing.
Okay.
It'll literally start to take shape around you. And then you guys can do that with your house that you want to build. That you guys can sit down and then you can draw it and be like, look at this. You don't have to do these things.
Yeah.
Great way to connect that creative energy of the brain and those creative urges, which then this is the law of attraction, right? Now you're literally putting forth all of the effort that the universe has given you and putting all of these things together and attracting it in a way and making it so concrete and real in your subconscious that it's like, this isn't too far-fetched. So that's one of the things I think would be awesome for you to do is something like that.
I agree.
Who likes to do that.
Yeah.
And then I think it's awesome. Two things, and I know we'll have to correct it longer, and we haven't gotten into this. This will be a whole nother podcast, but the subconscious mind basically answers everything, right? So it has no, how do I want to say this? It can't take a joke, right? The subconscious mind doesn't understand jokes. It is literally you tell it this and it does this, okay? So captain of the ship tells everybody on the ship what to do, and the people shoveling the coal and stuff and turning it right and left, they don't ask. They just do, right? They take it at face value for what the word is. So the subconscious does that. So something you do, which you need to catch yourself, is you say, I want to and I would like to, right? So you're holding those things far away from you. You don't act as if, right? So in the acting as if, in the the goals that we're going to start to write, we write everything in present tense. So you said I would like to have a pool. No, I have a pool.
Mm-hmm.
My house has a pool, right? Or I would like to be able to bench squat and deadlift. No, I still bench squat and deadlift when I'm 85 years old. Period. That's what I do. I'm the authority. Gotcha. I'm giving that suggestion to my that's the belief, right? That is what we talked about before, right? So if the belief is still I want to have a pool, or is I have a pool, right? So there's still a little bit of work we can do to clean that up, but that's the little nitty gritty things that allow it to come quicker or slower for you. That's just one of the things I wanted to make sure I touched on, because a lot of people do that. I mean, I still do.
Absolutely.
I want to, but Christy and I have a thing where it's all right, we'll catch each other all day. Because if you have, I don't know what it used to be, who knows what it is now, but it was 50,000 thoughts a day. Well, if you have 50,000 thoughts a day, you have 50,000 chances to improve your consciousness, improve your viewpoint on life. So you start switching that and catching it instantly, the body's going to respond. The mind's going to respond. You're going to become more creative. You're going to attract more people into your life that are going to come on the coach's corner, that are going to be GMs, that are going to be professional athletes. All that's going to start to happen because now it's an authoritative position, right? You're in control again. So, and again, that can be a whole other podcast, but it's an important thing to insert there.
Absolutely. No, and that makes a ton of sense. So, yeah.
Cool. Tell me some of the material things you own.
All right.
We may skip. Well, let's do the material things. Let's skip family and health.
Sure.
Just because, like, I think people kind of will get, you know what I mean, what it is, and I want to know your 1 year calendar. But I want to know what material.
Yeah, if we have time, we can always circle back or whatever.
For sure. I'd like to do the material things because a lot of people have an ability to attach to that pretty easily. And everybody, you don't want to have material things, but like, well, hold on a second. You do.
But yeah,
right? Like, you do. The whole point, like, I don't care how rich you are, you have limitations of what you can buy or do. Like, you could be a multi-bajillionaire and there's still limits to what you can do and you still want things. So, anyways, I want to hear it because I like
that. 5+ acres. Garage gym, 4 walls that open up so I can see out the outside. Pool, pond or lake nearby. Car with 4-wheel drive.
Very specific. I like it.
Honestly, that's really. I've never been a big car guy, but definitely, especially where I live now. My next car needs a lot of hills, a lot of snow. I need 4-wheel drive. A kegerator. That one's for me. Lake house. Boat, jet ski, tubes, big garden, both flower and veggies, chicken coop. That's really it.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. I mean, don't say that's it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So the right, like that's it. Like that's limiting. That's it right now, right? So one of the things that Christy and I were talking about too, and should be mentioned later or whatever, but it's like, so we do the beliefs and the values, and then we do our goals, and we do this and the yearly like we got all these things kind of going on. Well, let's say you're doing a budget, right? Well, before you get your budget straight, you may rework that budget 8, 9, 10, 12 times. I don't know if you've ever done that, but it's a very tedious thing because there's no real, like, do this, right? So you write this budget, you make it work for you, figure it out. Well, then that's an ever-evolving, changing budget, right? You make more, you tweak this. You make less, you tweak this, right? All these things. This is no different, right? We're going to constantly tweak this. So right now, that might be what you want. Well, in 6 months, you may realize there's way more limitless potential in life. And you may be like, well, I think I actually want a beach house too, right? And like, so they're forever changing. But one of the things, again, that I think is really cool is everything you just mentioned, and for everybody, there's endless work that can be done with the imagination. You can build out all of those things. You can think about all of those things. Your dinner conversation one night could be, what is our lake house going to look like? What kind of jet ski do I want? Do research on jet skis. Like, constantly have the mind. Like, the big overarching theme in this is break the habits and the old ways you did things and constantly have the mind doing and focused on this new reality that you want, right? And so there's hundreds of ways within that you can do those things. Where's the jet ski park? I don't know. Just throwing things out there that are like ways for you to constantly stimulate that creation, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's just taking, even if it's just little baby steps of, like you said, just looking up jet skis or having a conversation about it. It's just little baby steps taking progress to achieve that final goal. It's not pushing it away. It's not, thinking about it at another time. It's always present. It's always in your mind. It's always something that you're moving forward to achieve. Always
in the forefront of your mind. Like, one of the awesome things Christy and I did is we took a piece of paper of 40 or 60 things that we wanted in our house. Like, how do we want the gate to open up, right? Like, we want whatever this gate to look like and it to be that way or whatever. And so things like that I think are awesome.
Yeah, man.
And all right. So go ahead and go into the perfect 1 year calendar.
Perfect 1 year calendar. All right. So skipping ahead. So I didn't necessarily.
I was really hoping you were going to say Lamborghini, because then I was going to tell you to make sure you keep that IOU because it's a big one.
That's a car. Better hold on to that. So how I did this, because I think we talked about it briefly after our last podcast. I didn't necessarily like say like specific dates or days or whatever. I just I have the month of January and then just like 3 or 4 things that I would like to achieve in that that month. All right.
Sure.
So January, starting with New Year's Day. Essentially, I want to do 2 or 3 podcasts a week, whether it's this, Coach's Corner, or something else that I'm doing, whatever. 2 or 3 ski trips, either on the week, like weekend trips or local, just day trips. And then a big thing, so we didn't talk about it in like family or friends because we skipped over that for a second. But a big thing for me is I want to be able to, provide and just like host things for my family, whether it's, hosting a party, birthdays, holidays, provide them with things that they need, not necessarily things that they want.
Rephrase that. You said I want to.
I will. I am.
All right. There you go.
So then the last thing on there is Kristen's father's in January. So, I'm going to host, his birthday party. Cool. February, again, a lot of repetition here just because I really like consistency. I think it really makes, it motivates me. It helps me, achieve. So again, I've got the 2 to 3 podcasts a week. Still 2 to 3 either local or weekend getaway ski trips. And then I'm going to host my mom's birthday. She's in February. And my brother's fiance will be wife. So 2 birthdays. Why not? Nice. March. Wife's B-Day getaway, just the 2 of us. 2 to 3 podcasts a week. Opening day. My dad used to take me and my brother to opening day for baseball. So I would like to take my kids to opening day baseball every year, happening in March. Again, April. I'm just 2 or 3 podcasts. I'll just gloss through that. Plant our garden. Big garden, vegetable, flowers, whatever. May, podcasts, family baseball game. June, podcasts. Kids finish school, family vacation, kind of celebrate. My birthday party. July. Let's see. Podcasts, again, being involved in my kids' life. So summer sports with my kids, being there, coaching them, helping them, supporting them, however they, want me involved. Going to have pool parties for my kids. Hosting Kristen's mom's birthday. That's in July. August. Podcasts. Again, summer sports, whether they're playing, whatever. Maybe like a preschool, like not preschool, but before school, like weekend getaway for me and Chris. So parents get away before the school rush. September, podcasts. Again, I'm going to be involved in my kids' school if they're playing sports at school, if they need, whatever help they need in school, blah, blah, blah. Host my brother's birthday or be involved in whatever way he needs. October, podcast. Fucking love Halloween, man. Halloween parties. Kids party, adult party. Oh my God, it's great. Kristen hates it. It was almost a deal breaker. I swear to God it was.
It's my favorite freaking holiday.
What's not to, first of all, I'm a giant child. What's not to love about Halloween and getting dressed up and eating candy?
That's what I'm saying. The house is decorated all month. Are you kidding me? Like I took Slim the other day to, I don't know, called At Home, and as soon as we walked in, she was like, and just ran over to all Halloween. Yes, she loves it.
What's not to like? So I will be hosting, a kids Halloween party for the kids, adult Halloween party for the adults. Cheers.
Cheers to that.
November. I'll just say podcasts, hosting Thanksgiving. Hey, Thanksgiving's like 1B for me. Halloween's 1A, Thanksgiving's 1B. So I'm going to be hosting Thanksgiving. December, podcast, host my father's B-Day, Christmas, New Year's Eve getaway with the family. So, whether that's, my specific family, me, Chris, and the kids, or going with the grandparents or the aunts and uncles, whatever. But some sort of Christmas, New Year's Eve getaway. I actually did that one time with my family and my parents and brother. We were actually in Rome for Christmas, and it was the coolest fucking Christmas I ever had.
Yes.
So that to me, like that left a mark. I thought that was so much fun. So yeah, definitely Christmas getaways, New Year's Eve getaways, gonna happen.
I like it.
Yeah, man.
Awesome. Good stuff. I don't really have anything else to say about that.
All right.
No, so basically everything you just talked about, the whole point of that is to get roped up in the feeling of that stuff, to think about that stuff all of the time, to get the mind moving in that direction constantly. And things will start to shape and form. So now we're going to create goals off of that, or things that are more pertinent. And you'll see as we do the goals why it's so important that we get all these other things. So
Sure.
one of the questions you're going to ask yourself this week is, if I could accomplish one goal, right? If life was limitless and I could accomplish one goal, what would that one goal be, right? So you'll write that down, or anyone listening is going to write that down. And then you can kind of look at the things that you've said, because there will be goals within there, right?
Sure.
But everybody's starting, your goals need to be written down. They need to be written in the present tense. And we're going to write 10 goals. Most people recommend that the goals need to be over the course of the things we've talked about, right? Like career, financial, family, health, a couple in each one, like 2 in each, or 3 in each one, and 1. Like they should be fairly balanced between themselves, or they could be all career or all financial. I mean, if you're a single man and you don't really have a lot of family stuff going on, and maybe everything's career and health, maybe you have 7 career and 3 health. I don't know, right?
Sure.
So it's all specific for you, but balance them out the way they need to be. And we're going to go for 10 goals. What some people can do if they want to do more extreme is you can have 10 goals in every area of your life, right? Or 5 in every area of your life. However you feel necessary. We're going to stick with 10 that we write every single day out of, that category. And so the way we want to write these goals is, and this might be worth writing down so that we know, but first write down, if you were limitless, what's the one goal you would accomplish? Write that down.
So limitless one goal?
Yeah. What would that goal be? And then you don't have to decide.
Oh, not right now? Okay, I was going to say it's a big decision.
Just write
that
spot. And so then the next thing.
Do it now.
Do it right now. Is we are going to want the goal to be visualizable, meaning we want it to be clear and specific, and we want it to be a tangible goals, right?
Which is kind of why we were describing like the ideal life job we got as specific as possible, right?
Exactly. So we want to see and be able to visualize the goals. If you can't, you're SMRT. And so we want it to be broad and logical too, right? It needs to be broad, it needs to be logical while being specific and clear, right? And that'll make sense as you start to write them and we, kind of go through them. But again, these goals are very specific in terms of the things we want or the things we desire, because where our focus goes, our life goes. Again, why we orient ourselves with everything we just talked about and refocus on that all of the time. The other thing is that the goal has to be personal to you. You can't write a goal for your wife, or you can't write a goal wishing someone would do something. Like, that's not how it works. They have to be 100% of them for you. And then some level of measureability.
Wait, can I just clarify that last one? When you were saying you can't write them for someone else, do you mean like, because do you mean like I can't write like a goal for Kristen because Kristen's her own person, she has her own values and sets and that sort of thing, or I can't write a goal for myself and like
the first one. The first one.
Okay, all right.
You can be like, I want
because that for me that makes sense, because it's again that goes back to our whole health conversation when we're saying you can't want health for someone, they have to want it themselves. Okay, I just wanted to clarify if it was I can't want a goal for someone because it might not align with their goals and values, or like I can't write a goal for myself but with someone else maybe in the back of my head, that kind of thing.
No, for sure. I do stuff like that too. I mean,
gotcha.
The Christie, right? It's like we have a staycation once a month. I think I mentioned that before, right? Like that's different than I mean, what I want Christie to wake up at 6 a.m, or it's an irrelevant thing. Like you have no control over, so it can't be a goal for you.
Yeah. Okay. Just want to clarify.
Yeah. And so then the next one is like some level of measurability, right? And like and that'll kind of come into play like as you write the goals, because you're going to kind of want to develop a system of how to accomplish those. And like, and what I mean by that is like, I want to be rich is not a goal, right? Or I am rich is a goal, or I am wealthy. That's not a goal; it's a wish.
It's not
right?
specific, yeah.
Right. I make $5,000 a week. That's a goal. That's a goal that's measurable, right? Or, I have a beautiful home in the Blue Ridge Mountains, with a back porch that faces the mountains, whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's measurable. Like, are we close to getting to that, or are we not? Like, you can develop a measurable outcome for like where you're at on the continuum of achieving those goals, right?
Sure.
And then you want it to be challenging. So, especially at first. So I would encourage you, like, it's a good example, so we're going to use it. Owning a professional football team for you, or I'm just throwing football out there, it doesn't matter. It's the Giants, right? So or the GM of the Giants. Like, that's a goal, and that's a good goal to have. Right now, that's not a good goal for you. And the reason is because nothing in your reality agrees with, hey, Len, the New York Giants are going to call you tomorrow. And it's not to be rude, but this is a very important thing. People
you want something that's in the realm of possibility in your current situation.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense.
But just a little bit out of it, right? Like, so, and when you first start writing goals, like Brian Tracy talks about, like your first few goals, you want them to be about 80 to 90% achievable, because you want to develop that momentum. Like, hey, I can do this. Like there's a system here that's for me to do. And so you want it to be just out of reach. You want to stress yourself a little bit, right? So it's, whatever that is. Like,
I mean, dude, I love it. And I don't mean to cut you off. I'll let you go in a second. But like, I love this, and I love what you're saying, because it's exactly everything I would tell, clients when I was training them. It's, all right, look, you're 300 pounds right now. Our goal isn't to be 150 pounds. Our goal is to be 290. All right. And then we get, it's something, trust me, 10 pounds is tough enough. Like, let's just work on that first.
Right.
And then we get there. And then we say, all right, well, now we want to be 285, and then 280, and then 275. And then you pick up a little momentum. And then as you start tallying up these goals, you feel pretty damn good about yourself.
And then you write something on there like, hey, I'm Mr. Olympia. Like, but then it's a reasonable thing.
Yeah, because you have this momentum. You're already on your way. I get it. It's not, I'm 300 pounds. I've never seen a gym in my life. I want to be Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like that.
Right.
That doesn't work. Yeah.
It doesn't work, right? Because you have it won't logically make sense in your head. You'll never get there, right? Again, why a vision board and the law of attraction is taught wrong, because it is not like, if you're not in a position, if you're homeless and you put a Lamborghini up, like there's no link to that, right? So the mind isn't logically able to bridge that gap unless you are Dumb and Dumber and you come across a bag full of $1 million and you write an IOU, and then it's totally paid backable. So it's no problem. It's as good as cash.
Samsonite. I was way off.
We did say we were going to have one quote every podcast.
So. I don't know. Let's keep going, man.
So that's that. Anyway, so we want them to be a little bit of a stretch, but at the same time, for people like you, right, that have the goal of like, hey, I want to own a franchise, or I want to be part owner, or I want to be a GM, don't negate that goal. That's still there. It's just not one of the 10 we're going to work on right now, right? And so, a few things, a lot of people talk about, like, we want to have these 10 goals of things that we're going to achieve in the next 12 to 24 months. I like to have like 7 or 8 that are within that 12-month frame, and then like 3 that are not.
So but again, a little reach almost.
Yeah, like a little bit more of the reach. And so for people who've never done this before, maybe don't do that, right? Because you don't want to get caught up in that. So get 10 in the next 12 months, or let's say 15 months by December 2021, or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever.
You're good.
Yeah. By December 2021 that, like, we're going to want to start knocking off the list. And the cool part is once you start knocking them off, you get excited because you're like, oh shit, there's another spot for a goal. So then you like start thinking of all the cool stuff that you get to like do and accomplish next, right? So then something important that Brian Tracy says, and other people talk about it, but I want to give him credit for, like, he calls it like your major definitive purpose. And so what he talks about is what we're going to do is after you write these 10 goals that you want in these areas of life that you want, is you're going to pick one of those goals. And whatever one of those goals would allow you to achieve the other ones the fastest is going to become basically your major definitive purpose for the next, foreseeable future. And what we're going to do is we're basically going to orient our entire life around that and how to make that goal become possible. So let's just say, I don't know, you have a goal of I want to make $5,000 a week, right? And then subset goals are, or not I want to, I make $5,000. You got me all fucked up. Right, I make $5,000 a week, and so then it's like, well, I own a TRD Pro, and I go on 2 hunting trips a month, and I whatever these goals are that you have, then right underneath that, or I buy Kristen a new dress, or we go on Kristen and I go on staycations, and whatever these things are, we go ski trips every month. Well, it's very obvious that if you make $5,000 a week, those other goals become achievable fairly quickly, right? So that becomes kind of your major focus.
Sure.
You think about that goal all the time, right? That goal is then we break that goal down and we're like, all right, what are 10 things we can do? We'll get into this next week, but like, how do we orient our life to make that a top priority and the main thing we focus on all the time, right? So does all that, kind of make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so that basically becomes the focus point. And then, what I like to do is, I don't know how to explain that. Like, write everything then under that major definitive purpose, right? Which he calls that, or like the primary goal, the one that's going to be number one, is then you're just going to write everything you can think of on how to achieve it, which you kind of primed us for in the last one of like 10 things to make money. Everything you can do to achieve that goal, just write that down. And, some of the things that are important, like people talk about dates, like giving, and Brian Tracy's big on this and I'm not. And I'll explain why. He's big on dates, like have a date. I'm going to do this by this date, or whatever. Like, I own a Toyota 4Runner, or I purchased the Toyota 4Runner on August 1st, whatever that is, right? Well, actually, if you give it an end,
I disagree, and I want to see if we have the same reason. So go.
Right. So I don't date, and the reason is because the closer that date gets, if you are not there, you start to get into massive contraction mode. I'm not there. I'm not achieving it. Oh my goodness, this or that. So it actually has the opposite effect in my philosophical belief system, and it has the opposite effect. So I omit dates. It's a simple fact. I make $5,000 a week, right? Or whatever they are, they're just simple, boom. This is what it is. This is the fact. This is how we do it.
That's actually, that's what I was going to say. Like, because what happened, so again, not that we're, there's that, oh geez, what's the phrase? It's like having, whatever. But yes, God forbid you don't reach, that goal at that date. I feel like it then encourages the hell with it. I didn't do it. Right. I'm going to give up. Right. So there's just that, well, I didn't do it, so I'll quit. So that way, if it's never ending, you're always moving forward. There's no end date. It's just we're making progress.
We're moving towards it. We're making progress. And one of the things that helps you with that is then having a baseline. So it's great. And we do that with training, right? I mean, everybody, it's like, look, what is your baseline? What is your starting point? So if you weigh 300 pounds and you want to be at 260 by the end of the year, I weigh 260 pounds. Okay, well, that you weigh 260 pounds. Where are you at in that continuum? I'm at 183. Well, holy shit, you lost 17 pounds. Like, you're good. You're on the right track. Have a baseline. Have a baseline with finances, Again, I make $5,000 a week. All right, I make $2,742.13. All right. Well, then now it's $3,200.12 or whatever. Well, I'm making progress in that right direction. So come up with baselines then based off of your goals on where you're at, because it's realistic. We want to be realistic, but we want to push the boundaries, right? Because everything is possible. when you do the right system and put things into place the right way. You can be riding on private jets if you do it the right way. I mean, it's as simple as that. And then one thing that I'm going to bring up, because it's like a lot, I think, especially today in society, it's interesting because it's a taboo topic, but it's everywhere, right? It's sex. So no one wants to talk about that, and it's taboo to bring up and talk about, but literally every advertisement and all of Instagram and everything is sex. Like
everyone has cooties, dude, obviously.
Right.
Like,
so
come on.
That's an important thing, I believe, when you're in a relationship with someone else and you do this work or they do that work. Like, there's a reason Christy and I have staycations, right? And we plan these staycations, right? And so literally come up with a baseline. Like, if you've been married 40 years and you guys don't have sex anymore, we have sex twice a year, right? Okay. Well, I'd like to have sex 13 times a year. Fine. But you know that baseline. Like, it's okay to have that. But communicate, come up with the goal together, and then come up with how are we going to do that. It's no different, right? This applies to every aspect of your life, whether you're 20 and having sexual, connections, or if you're 100. Like, it doesn't matter what that is. You and your partner can come up with a system on how to do this and reignite that together. So
yeah. I think it comes down to communication too. I mean, and it's such a weird thing because it's funny you bring it up, and obviously, like, now that you say this, obviously I knew it, but yes, like, obviously a lot of people are very uncomfortable when it comes to talking about sex, but it's everywhere, and that's like the weirdest thing. Like, I just watched a commercial for a women's razor, and the razor had breasts bigger than Kristen. Like, it was like, what? It's right there. It's right there. But to talk about it is like the weirdest thing in the world. No, and I think you're right. Like, you have to open up these channels of communication. Otherwise, nothing changes. I mean, that's everything. Even everything that we're doing here. Like, yes, I'm writing down like values, goals, virtues, whatever, visions. It's a method of communication. It's just with myself now. Now I'm being honest with myself. And it's just putting it on paper. It's making it real, vocalizing these goals, these whatever with your partner. It's making it real. And now there's a potential to move and grow with it.
Yep. And what's cool is when you have a partner and you guys have the same idea of a goal or vision, right? Like, if your house that you described in gym is in alignment with hers, oh my goodness, now you have two people working on this same thing. You just doubled and amplified.
That's powerful, yeah.
Squared effect or something. I can't remember. I have to look it up. But there's a whole thing. They've studied it, right?
Don't do math. Don't give me math. I don't want
no.
No, there'll be none of that.
But that's a powerful thing, right? And it's the same with anything, right? And whether people want to admit it or not, there's a reason sex is linked to everything, because it is a very primitive desire. It is a very primitive thing, and it is literally the source of all creation. Like,
well, yeah, I mean, it's reproduction and eating and survival. Like, it's the three main things that everything craves.
Life
yeah.
With it. I mean, so that energy of that is creation. So let's not stifle creation, right? That's what we want to do here. So anyways, encourage people to just, when you're looking at this, like, that's a real part of who you are. Be open with yourself about it.
I mean, look, I get it.
Maybe one of the 10 favorite things to do is have sex, and maybe you're going to come up with a ton of ways to make money off of that. And it doesn't need to be like porn or something. I mean, there's tons of ways underneath it. You can do sex coaching, you can do life coaching with couples and people. I mean, there's so many good, constructive ways that aren't in that like negative that society prints there, that you can literally change people's lives within that. So if it's a passion for you, don't ignore that. Push into it, lean into that, and know that it's okay.
Absolutely.
The world needs more.
And I know you might not know her name, but I know you're gonna know who I'm talking about. It was on she was like 90 years old. She was on like the Oxygen Channel. It was like talk sex with Ruth or something. Like, she was like older than the fucking Crypt Keeper, and she would just like answer all these like sex questions on like late television. Yeah, like awesome. If she can do it, you can do it. Like,
she probably helped so many people, and she probably loved her life.
Probably had a blast.
Yep, had a blast. Like, had so much fun. So, anyways, that's awesome. But that's the overarching thing. That's what it's time to do it. So next week we'll have 10 goals. You and I will communicate through the week about them. We'll tweak them, so you'll have 10 finished goals, and then we'll kind of tell people how we tweak them if we needed to. And it's going to be awesome. Then from there, we'll kind of just clean up everything. I'll give some suggestions about what to do next week, and I think we'll probably be close to wrapping up goals.
I was excited. Call it a wrap.
Yeah.
My cousin just texted me and said Dr. Ruth. So that was her name. I was right. Yeah, it was Ruth. Dr. Ruth. Thank you, Justin. So just real quick, go over one more time, just the abridged version of how you want them, just the goal setting process. So we're starting off with a number one, limitless, ultimate goal, right?
Yeah, just to get the mind going, right? Okay. And that's not necessarily going to be one of your 10, but let's just get it going, because if your number one ultimate goal is, to be the GM of the New York Giants, well, we're not going to start there today, but we're going to have that goal written some way, right? So then we want them to be clear, broad, logical, very specific, that you can visualize the goal. We're going to write 10 of them, and they have to be personal for you, right? I'm trying to think of what else. They need to just stretch past your comfort zone.
Yeah.
So again, finances are just an easy thing to measure. Weight's an easy thing to measure. So if you're 300 pounds, you've been trying to lose weight, haven't lost any weight for a year, like your goal is, I weigh 285 pounds. Like that's your goal. It stretches you just enough to where it's uncomfortable, because you're gonna have to work pretty hard to get there, right? So it needs to be slightly, in that uncomfortable zone.
That's right.
And then pick wherever you are in life, family, finances, health, whatever that is, and career. Have 2 or 3 in each category, or have 7 in one and 1 in the other, whatever that is. I kind of generally have about 3 in each category,
Sure.
Just because, but I have a family and a business and a wife, and, so I have more going on.
Yeah, you got a lot going on, so you got a lot of goals. Makes sense.
But, so those are the things. It's pretty simple. 10 goals, broad, logical, write them in the present tense as if you have them right now.
Yep. And then you said you wanted to do 7 or 8, or for the newbies, you want to keep them all within like goals that you could probably achieve within a year, 15 months, or do you want to have 8 or so? Okay.
Stick with 10 within that 12 to 15 month period for everybody that hasn't wrote before. It's just easier, right? Because then what'll happen is if there's one that's too far out, you'll fixate on that, and that'll become the one that you focus on, and then you won't achieve any of them, and it's not going to be great. But then after you get those 10, read those 10, look at those 10, and basically pick one of those 10 that if you achieve that would do the most good for helping you achieve the next 9. And again, I use the financial
kind of like a stepping stone or leaping off point kind of thing.
Right, and that kind of finances is just an easy one because, let's be realistic. If you
opens
make
up a lot of doors.
If you make $5,000 a month or a week, it opens a lot of doors, right? It allows you to probably do 6 or 7 of the goals that are on your list.
Yeah,
it does. It's called what it is, so that's okay. But then we're going to create a system around that on how we're going to, achieve that, or you are going to. I think that's it. I think that sums it up. It sums it up.
Yeah, man.
Boom. 8:59. We're getting good at this.
We are, man. Right on the spot. My only slip up was I was a minute late because I got too sidetracked. I was excited. We're chatting.
That's all right.
All right, man. So, I think we're making a lot of great progress with this. I think this has been awesome for me to experience, and I think it's really, really beneficial for people to see someone actually do the process and talk it out, and you're here to help me walk it through and everything. So I think it was awesome, and see you next week.
Yeah, perfect. Right. Oh, so the one more thing that I guess is super important is your goals need to be. The whole reason we did everything we did before this is because your goals. I can't believe I forgot this. Your goals need to be They need to be congruent with your values and beliefs.
Yeah. Well, that's why we did everything that we did, right? We broke ourselves down. We got to our lowest, not lowest of low, but we got to a place where we were feeling icky and crappy and whatever. Then from there, we were able to identify what means the most to us, our values, blah blah blah, and then we're building up from that. So yeah, I know why you forgot it, because with this whole process, it's obviously the logical next step. But yes, it's also good to just vocalize and be like, by the way, guys, these goals have to align with what means the most to you.
And maybe even have them beside you while you're writing the goals. Because if your goal does not, if it's not congruent with your values and your beliefs, you will not achieve it.
No.
Period.
And I think that's the thing, right? This whole process is fluid. So you can always go back and tweak or change or add a value and then build off that. And maybe you're writing a goal and maybe it doesn't align with something that you wrote down initially for a value, but then it triggers something. You're just like, oh, you know what? I really value this now, and I want that to be one of my core values. So yeah, so I think, yes, have them together, look them over, read them over, go back and forth. Yeah, man. I think, it's a good idea.
That's the whole point of this, right? Is to become this non-linear thing that we go back and we work, and it never ends, right? You're constantly working the blueprint. I love it.
Yep.
It's awesome.
All right, man.
Sweet.
Say goodbye, everyone. See you next week.
See you guys next week.
Peace.